Thank you, John. Morning, Okata. I hope you had a good rest last night. So today is the real stuff that all of us do every day in our working lives, from Monday to Saturday or sometimes Sunday. Is the planning, monitoring, and control procedures. This is not a new thing altogether, so I am confident that you have applied this, you know about it. Some may be having difficulty in trying to understand it and maybe apply it in the field. So I am not here to tell you that I'm the expert in this, but I can share with you some of my experiences. These are things that you can read yourself, like I said yesterday. It's the implementation part of the logging code of practice. As we all know, the logging code of practice is the policy document that guides us into what we should be looking for, what we should be doing or not doing, or what the companies should be doing and not doing. This is the regulatory part. And most of you, or all of you, have seen it, and I sincerely hope that we are applying it in the field. But if you are not applying it, you need to also be honest and tell, say that you have difficulties trying to understand it. And this is where I come in, hopefully, to try and explain what those requirements are. And I can invite Senior Director, if you want to interject in any part of the presentation, please do so. Also, if you have any questions while I'm presenting, I'm going to be very brief, like yesterday, because I believe that you already know about this. So we're just going to revise the procedures or go through the procedures. But if there are certain parts that you're not familiar, you are having difficulty, please say so. So we can spend a little bit more time in that area. Please, next. Just keep going. Just keep going. Okay, so those are what we are going to see. At the end of this presentation, hopefully we can try and work on the setup monitoring logbook. This is the logbook that we should be using in the field. This is more like a tool for us as monitoring officers and project supervisors. Has anybody seen logbook? Do you know what a logbook is? We all know about it. Have we been using it? Yes, no, it's all right. Okay, so objective, introduction, planning, these are all in, you can make reference to the document itself, the planning monitoring. I hope you have a copy.
Yes.
Okay. Now on the actual PMC procedure, you have, not the login code, but the PMC procedures. You don't have the hard copy. But it's in your flash drive. The actual procedures, you know what it is, the thick one. All right. So, in case we don't know, it's a requirement of the Act. These procedures are, if you look through the Forestry Act 1991, it's a requirement of the Act. It assists us and the team of permit holders in terms of planning and monitoring. It is applied by the logging companies. You know that very well. Every, workplaces, they always submit their plans, their annual plans, whatever plans. It incorporates requirements like set up plans, 5-year working plans, set up clearance plans. So why monitoring and control? It's one of our main responsibilities. I think this is why we are here. All right. So because this tool is used by us every day, this PMC procedure. it is environmental and socially sensitive areas are excluded from logging. In the PMC procedures, as a requirement, the companies submit their plans. We all know that. Part of the plan, they also must indicate which areas are to be excluded. These are things you already know. All right. So logging can proceed in an orderly manner and in accordance with TP conditions. And also, logging takes place in accordance with sound silvicultural and environmental principles. In the end, hopefully we should have sustainable wood production. Next. So what are the mechanisms? Approval of logging plans. Monitoring compliance with approved plans. Those are mechanisms. You can find that in the manual. I'm pretty sure you have read part of the manual. You have been reading them and exercising. Next. Okay, so this is one of the most important parts of the procedures. And this is where a lot of us fail. Okay? When there is a non-compliance, sometimes most of us, our emotions take the better of us. We need to control our emotions. We have set procedures to follow. Okay. So what happens when there is a non-compliance? So there are steps in the planning, monitoring, control procedures that we should follow. Sometimes we as human beings get so frustrated, especially when the illegal or the person that is always doing that illegal thing continues after you keep warning him, he keeps doing it. So we resort to, do something more physical. But under the procedures, this is what is required. Okay? So you request the logging operator informally, meaning you come up and hold this dose operator or change operator and tell him that he's doing the wrong thing. Okay? That's the first thing you do. So if he continues to do that, you direct the operator to comply. Direct means write him a memo or just simply tell him that I'm telling you, directing you to stop, or else I take further action. If he keeps doing that, use your powers as a forest inspector. You are all forest inspectors under the Act. You are protected by the Act, by the law, to use your powers under the Act. We'll talk about some of these powers later on. To suspend some or all the operations, some meaning whatever part of the operation that is, you find that this operator is continuously doing, that is not correct. And of course, you all know about the lawful direction. You all heard about it. If you see that lawful direction, you can withhold approval of additional setups or annual plans. You have that kind of authority. So we all know that there are three types of planning: 5-year, annual, and setup plans. By the way, there are some of you here who are monitoring FCA operations, right? So there was a question raised in some other regions about this doesn't apply to FCA, so where does FCA come in? In terms of planning and monitoring control procedures, yes, you're right, it doesn't apply for, the procedures doesn't apply the whole procedures, but there are certain parts of the procedures that apply in terms of, or the logging code too especially, in terms of loading, in terms of land incorporation, log port, that's where and buffer zones of course. So that's where the code applies. So it can apply also to FCs. So in the 5-year plans, I think you all know the process, but let me just go through. It's required to be produced by the permit holder every 3 years. It includes the statement, project statement. It is, of course, you know that it's a requirement here. It indicates where proposed logging areas are going to be within the next 5 years. The information provided would also include forest inventory data. Usually it's about 20% for 5-year plan. Oh, sorry, 1%. 1%, sorry. Yeah. And then they should indicate in the plan where the permanent roads, proposed permanent roads should be, where the log pond base camps should be established, and this is evaluated by the project branch at headquarters, so it doesn't really concern you. And of course approved by the managing director. Next please. The annual plans produced annually, as we all know. It shows annual areas where to be harvested. Of course, the inventory data also need to be included. Location of roads and where the commission needs to occur in the next 12 months. Details of block points, where it's going to be established. Base camps also. This is evaluated at the regional and provincial forest office. I think it's at the provincial level now. Right? Okay. And again, approved by the managing director. Next. Setup plan is blowing play. Setup. Again, inventory data. Detailed operational plan for that particular year or that particular setup. Includes the field operational plans where the ski tracks should run, where the landing should be. These are things you already know, but I'll just repeat it. Details of post-logging activities to be undertaken, and then is approved by you, project supervisor. This is one of your very important tools. You have the authority to approve or not approve. So, Laran or Bikla something was a 5-year and annual plan be approved and whatever by the process, but this you can hold the companies. You can do that. This is your power. And if there is something wrong at the setup level, the blame comes back to you. So you need to be very mindful of it. Road line setups. We all know that when in an annual plan there are advanced roads that needs to be established. So most of these advanced roads are considered as road setups. So the evaluation process is similar to the normal setup. Again, in these roads, advanced roads, also even logging roads, there are some roads, main logging roads especially, that may be used in the future. You remember we mentioned something about future use of the roads. If they are not going to be decommissioned, there needs to be some form of agreement to say that these roads will be used for this purpose. So in case in the future something happens, then you're protected through this agreement. So, yep. Okay. You know that when the setup login is completed in a setup, one of the process or requirement that is to close the setup. We know that after login is complete, the company submits a setup clearance application. Okay, so during the setup clearance process application, what do? You carry out a setup clearance inspection. All right. Next. In the application, they should submit a covering letter, a summary of the schedule and number of logs, and volumes which is harvested in the setup, a schedule also comparing the above summary and the pre-harvest volume. Now this is important in terms of calculating whether there is waste or no waste. We will cover that in our waste assessment after this. So when you receive the application for setup clearance, you should record that in the setup monitoring control log. Okay, you have that. We all have that. You always must record this inside in the log, monitoring and control log. You should check that all the information required is attached to this application. Then you undertake a post-login field inspection to evaluate the setup. These are part of your daily normal routine inspections. During your inspections, if you're not satisfied that the company has completed the setup, it could be that they did not complete login the setup, or it could be that some bridges, some rubbish are there, or maybe you find that there is a lot of offcuts in the landing, or maybe in the setup. Then you do not approve or you do not issue this certificate or setup clearance certificate. You all know the certificate I'm referring to. If you're not satisfied and if you feel that there is waste, that is where you conduct a waste assessment. And how to do that, we will cover that in the next session. Next. So, during evaluation, this is what you normally would do. For road line setup, all vegetable trees harvested and removed. There has not been any excessive forest clearance, more than 40 meters corridor in the case of roads. That the operator has not pushed debris into and soil into the forest edges. That all logging debris has been removed from streams. It's the normal things that you normally do. For selection setup, selection logging setup, all temporary water crossings have been removed, water bars have been constructed, log landings have been cleared, leveled, ripped if need be, temporary roads decommissioned. We talked about decommission of roads yesterday. All rubbish collected, and we talked about removal of rubbish yesterday. And all logging debris has been removed from the streams. Any questions so far on this one? So, something is, who you can say? That's all right, that's all right. Yeah, let's say. Okay, so that's basically in a very, very brief the PMC procedures. Be mindful that these PMC procedures would take more than a day or more than a week to actually really complete the whole course. We are just condensing everything into just one day or few hours, simply because we understand that you already practicing that. It's not like we are teaching students in high school or university. It's just more or less a refresher, like Geno said yesterday, on the procedures. I believe that you are already practicing it, but you just need to be probably enhanced with your skills to actually apply this in the field. So, if there is any questions on the PMC procedures, then otherwise we get straight into the voice assessment.
Any questions?
No. I think you all understand what.
I have a question.
Yes. Regarding the FCAs, if the companies don't comply and tell them over and over again, you don't have the control procedures like only you have to set up. In that case, what should we do to emphasize our authority?
Yes, sir.
Your answer. You can decide. Again,
I think you still have the control. You don't give another block for the company to operate, so you still have that power or control. If they don't comply to whatever they're supposed to do in terms of applying these procedures, you don't give the next block. You still have that control. Normally, FCAs and what you have a couple of blocks, you're supposed to be block by block. So when they do not comply in the first block, you still have control in ensuring that they comply and you don't release the next block.
I'll just give a FCA, you don't really different. People will say FCA, which are not a project, but as it is, it was approved under our act. So by all means, FCA is still governed under our jurisdiction, which means that you have all authority. If a company doesn't comply, you still have the authority to suspend. Those are mechanisms that we have. You say, oh, you don't release another block. That's what they said. Or if they have a shipment, then you don't have to make recommendation for shiploading and organization. There are much, talk about, situations on the FCA. They say that it is not for a ship project. Yes, it's not our project. It's from the PAL. However, if you look at the entire picture, it is governed under Section 98 of the Constitution. So which means that you and I still have jurisdiction over this project. So when you have a situation of non-compliance, you still have the authority. So you exercise your authority. And like Mr. Saru Peter said, we are forest inspectors. Going back to forest inspectors, we need to be gazetted. And gazetted will come to the minister. In 1996, there was a list of forest officers. Already, myself, Mr. Maras, Galamo, Mr. Galamo, Mr. Sine. Our names were taken on and then given to the minister, so minister normally sends an instrument to give authority that we are forest inspectors. There's some confusion saying that when you are employee of PNGFA, automatically you become a forest inspector. No, you have to be gazetted, and that gives you the authority. But as it is, the delay is on the management. So that has been taken up already. And then after these 3 lines of training, NGR, Momase, Southern, we'll be taking names of people, and then we will take it, set it up, and then people will be gazetted. Minister will sign certain instrument that will give effect to gazette on us being inspectors. But as it is now, under our act, you still have the authority when it comes to situation on the field. Which means that if there is no compliance, you go through the process. You give first warning, then promote. All the companies sit on the table and say, look here, here's the situation. You go to the lawyer, also, 1. Number 2, I'm coming in. Then you go formally. Give him a letter, warning, 1. Second, 2. And then number 3, if this thing persists, then what you do is you issue your lawful direction. And as far as I understand, at our level, we are all authorized to issue lawful direction. However, last year, MD, our current MD, has sent out a circular because of the fact that lawful direction was issued left, right, and center. And then companies are complaining directly, so he issued a circular out and saying that all lawful directions will be administered by him at that level. So when you have a situation on a field, what you do is you recommend to your provincial forest or PS. PS you recommend to your provincial forest manager, and the provincial forest manager will recommend to the regional manager or deputy director now, and then advise me, the deputy director will advise me, and then I will further advise managing director that we have to issue a lawful direction. So at my level, I will prepare a lawful instrument, a lawful direction instrument, give it to MD, MD will sign based on the report from the project supervisor. So that is the kind of arrangement that we are doing now. But I still argue that the instrument has to be issued by our project supervisor because you are at the field, at the project level. When you have a situation on the field, me director or managing director will be busy, with other important matters that we will not. So that will kind of cause delay. So that's the kind of thing that I have. But I've already spoken to managing director, but we will see, and then later he will issue another circular again, basically to relax this, so that this responsibility goes back to you, project supervisor. So coming back to your point, you under the FCA arrangement, you still have authority. If they are not conforming to requirements or they're breaking the laws, you have the upper hand, you have the power to make decisions at your level. Stop operation, hauling of the ship, no releasing of the next blocks or setup. Thank you.
Thank you, Dad. Yes. Go first.
Thank you, Samuel. Milay, I didn't really touch on what that then talking about in FCA. All right, I think our act and our procedure, it says we operate on a 500 hectare basis, meaning that the first 500 hectares law, before you release the next one, the first one should be planted. It's very clear. Now, it's not talking about the agriculture people, it's talking about us, so that's the authority we have. We don't worry about agriculture. Agriculture is their project. How they find people to do agriculture is their problem. Explaining procedure remain not clear. Release the second 500 if the first 500 is complied to. So I think the procedure it gives us that power. So no one to look aside from agriculture. That's their own problem. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Sorry to keep you on, but I just want to add on what two seniors have said. FCA, it's just similar to environmental plan that they endorse. It's similar to what we are doing now. So environment people also have a say in what we are doing. FCA, even though it's an agricultural project, we also have a say in there. So don't take it as the agricultural project and they can do it. No. Because we approve the plan, we are so responsible to go with the plan what we approve. Similar to what environmental plan is being approved by the environment, they are responsible in our operations, even though they don't come every day to visit our operations, but because of the head or because of the procedures, as John said, they are also part and parcel of our operations. I'm just saying that the environmental plan, okay, environment people, SEPA, similar to CPA, even their project, but we are also part and parcel of monitoring the operation. So please take it as it's our responsibility, as two seniors have alluded. Thank you. That's my comment today.
Any other comments?
In relation to annual logging plans, normally these plans the project supervisors field officers, then goes to the field officers, and then comes to the provincial office. So I would like to suggest that normally these plans are goes to the project supervisors. So I'd like us to make an amendment to the new PNGFA that in order for the project supervisor to endorse the plan, there has to be a checklist. The project supervisor has to have a checklist that he will use to check the compliance of the company. And then if he satisfied that the company is compliant with, say, at least 80% of the annual plan and logging code of practice, then he will endorse the plan. And then he submit the plan to provincial office. But I'd like us to develop something, make that checklist like the one that we use in provincial office. So that he doesn't just endorse the plan anyhow and then pass the plan to us. If there's any non-compliance in the field, he has to say no to the company, or he doesn't endorse the plan. So he asks the company to rectify any anomalies or any non-compliance, and then when the company complies, we maybe refer the plan to provincial office, our evaluation, and refer them to HQ. But I like to see that there is a checklist developed for the project supervisors alone, so that they can use to assist the plan in the field before referring it to area office or provincial office. Thank you. Thank you. A good point. Do we have any checklist? Sorry, I'm just asking. Do we have any checklist under our PMCP procedure for project supervisor for ALP announcement? Do we have? Yes. Yes. It's in the PMCP. From the project level, and then to the provincial office. And then from the provincial office, that particular checklist it's kind of used again, just to confirm, because it's about check and balance. And I totally agree with you. But I would want a checklist for the process on the evaluation of the 5-year plan. Because now, the 5-year plan is subject direct to project allocations, which you and I know the very same. And then from there, they plan their paper vacation, they come down. So I believe that's a missing link. So that is what we should be looking at. What I would want is the 5-year plan has to go back to the project supervisor for his endorsement. Because, and then you will see it better, because you, project supervisor, knows exactly how many areas of the particular, last year was operated. If there is a balance remaining, carry forward, you know it better than the provincial office and regional office and project allocation. So, I understand where you're coming from, but it would be on the FWP that we should be looking at. Not company direct to HQ. Company send it to the project level, and then it has to follow just like what they do on the ALP. And I think that's the most important thing that we need to fix. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. I think if this is just very brief, the evaluation process that you could use. But if you have a copy of the PMC procedures with you now, do you have? No, the natural document. You can check this evaluation process is there. I think it should be there. If it's not, then I think I'm mistaken. Does it have it there? On the annual, okay, it's in the annual, PMC procedures. Yeah, it's in the PMC procedures. There is the evaluation checklist process and also the 5-year. You will find that 5-year, there's not much input from you project supervisors. But the annual plan, I think they will require you to provide some kind of a compliance report. Yeah, there is an attachment on the checklist at the back of the PMC procedures that you can use. In terms of recommending for or against approval of the annual office plans. Yeah, and the provincial offices. So please take time to read through the PMC procedures. There's a lot of information in there. This is why I'm saying if you are confused, if you want further elaboration on certain parts of the PMC procedures, please, this is your opportunity, your time for us to all discuss together. Thank you, but I'll hold this for a while. Yes. Where's the other mic?
Just one thing that I want to ask you to look at is like what Peter has mentioned. We've been evaluating ALPs, and we know that the project supervisors, normally what they do, they just endorse the plan and send it to the provincial office to evaluate and then submit to the projects. I think there's a missing link. What I understand is if they can use this logbook, one question is, who fills the logbook? Usa dia mo write na line no, fill logbook. Project supervisors. I think if they can go back, if they want to submit an ALP or something, or local endorsement, they fill the logbook, attach with the endorsement and send it up to the MIEC. I think because plan is something you keep inside the logbook and capture inside there. I'm thinking long so. Thank you.
I'll just clarify. Sorry, the logbook doesn't to be attached to the endorsement for the ALP to be submitted in. Logbook is basically to manage the record of a particular setup at the project level. So it is only the attachment 3. The checklist is what the project supervisor has to fill and then to be attached with this endorsement. It should be sent out to the provincial office. Logbook enrollment to monitor the setup for Sorona, keep the record at the project base level. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry,
What's the other microphone?
There is another part. There's another part to the endorsement and of the annual local plan, like our director has said. It's not the logbook. There should be a checklist, and also the other part is the compliance report. The project supervisor is supposed to submit a compliance report of the previous annual logging plan together with this endorsement. The logbook is designed especially for setup monitoring only. Annual logging plan evaluation, project supervisor is required to submit, to compile compliance report of the previous ALP together with this endorsement. Thank you.
Okay. I think that you just correctly mentioned that process.
Thank you. Set up monitoring. Something I think we should look at also in our presentation. I haven't seen for the sake of those our young officers. For the sake of our young officers, those who haven't gone through this training before. Simon, can you explain on departure from Christian? I think that's very important. Thank you.
Thank you, John. That's a very good point. Remember I mentioned yesterday about road alignments, location of ski tracks, maybe log ponds, base camps. These are information they submit in their 5-year plan, annual plan, and setup plan. Now, during the process of getting their plan, they find that there is something wrong, that they cannot actually locate it where they initially planned it to be. And they try to move away from where they initially want to locate to another location. This is already a departure from their initial plan. So as a requirement of the PMC procedures, any departure or any deviation to this plan must be first approved by the project supervisor. All right? These departures must be also recorded in the logbook. If you check your logbook, there is a section, there are columns there which talks about the departures. Okay? Check your logbooks. This is where you enter those information. Okay. It's on the notes.
Just before this member,
Go. Okay. Now come back.
Okay, so this is where you would record. There's another.
You go down to where monitoring is. It's during monitoring. This is my husband. Come back. During logging during mostly during logging operation.
One more. This is where you record and give the reason why you have to move to another. Let's say, for example, there is a road deviation. Okay, let's say this is and then the road is coming this way. But then for some reason there is a big limestone, so they cannot go through this way. They have to go around this way. Okay? There's already a departure from the original plan. This needs to be amended in the departure of form, and you have to approve that before they can actually go ahead and construct the road. Alright? Minor departures. Major ones, you need to get them to apply for an amendment to the plan. Okay? An amendment to the plan. MD will have to approve it. Yeah, correct. Instead of the job. Any? Okay. All right. We should. Do you want a break, or should we? We should look a little bit more in detail on this logbook.
Yes.
Okay. So, like I said, if there are certain parts of this logbook that you need more clarification, please say so. All right. But at this stage, we are going to be focused mainly on the setup monitoring log. Okay. So you all have a copy of this. In fact, I was hoping that we'll have one new setup application that has not been approved yet, because the exercise tomorrow in the field was meant to be trying to assess this setup in the field as an exercise. But I think we have a setup here that has already been approved. Am I right? There is one setup application. This line. Am approved. So we just, as an just for exercise purposes, we will just work on this one. Yes, please.
Thank you. Just last one point on these logbooks. These logbooks are very, very important books. It keeps records of every setup that you are administering. So, which means that in 1 year, under the ALP, you have 40 setups to be released. We are expecting you to manage 40 books. I know over time we had some issues on supply of logbooks. The only way possible that you can get logbooks is give the company a master copy. The company will, every time they get lodgement of application of new setup, it comes in with the, so that they take on the cost. We don't take the cost. So we will not have an excuse of, oh, because of no logbooks, no logbooks is supplied by a control office. And I did not feel, I do not want that excuse. Master copy to the company will make it as a business to come forward with every application, every particular logbook attached to the back, give it to you, apply, you proceed with your evaluation. That's number one. And every record detail. The reason why, when we had this one in 1996, is basically because when it comes to the audit purpose of every project, there will be zooming down to setup. And that's when this particular books would become very, very handy for evaluation. Your performance, your monitoring ability, capacity, that particular book will definitely help with the auditors in doing the auditing. So that is why I always stress that setup logbooks must be managed at all times. Although, if you have problems with logistics, but I would want you to fill a logbook, do the evaluation, desktop evaluation, and then you come stop. And if you have problem with vehicle monitoring, then you write it as a comment here. Say, I have problem with monitoring because of the fact that I don't have vehicle, or I don't have daily school stop. That is very, very vital information for auditors to use when they come to their audit later on. They will say, oh yeah, you try your best to do your part, but because management has failed to provide you this logistic support, and then you could not fully monitor this setup. And as per the requirement of every setup, if we are fully capacitated, like you must have, you know, over something, the boats, you are obligated to do 3 monitoring for one particular setup. That is an operation you have to do 3. But if I don't have a problem with manpower, so I would expect maybe 1 monitoring. That would be better. As it is, I know we have a lot of problems, logistically, with a lot of things. And it's not your problem, it's the management problem. But we try our best at our level. That's my request to you, at your level. Try your very, 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 very best to try and at least fill this logbook, so we have something or some records that are captured in here for future auditing. That's what it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Okay. Let's try, just as an exercise, to fill in 1 logbook. Are we okay?
Yeah.
You have these logbooks with you?
Yeah.
Usually you would be presented with a new setup plan. Okay, what we have here is a setup plan already submitted and already approved. But just for this exercise, we will use the same setup plan to tick the boxes in the setup monitoring control logbook. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so you need this setup plan. It's there in front of you, I think. Go up to the top. Okay, we have all seen this before. Whether we've, hands up, who hasn't seen one like this before?
You right?
Anybody? Okay, that's good. So we all know what it is. Now let's try and go through it and see if we understand what to do with this logo. Again, I must echo the director's comments about the importance of this logo. It is a document that can be used for any purpose in the future. Remember I mentioned about trying to protect yourself. Any work that you do out there in the login area, in the setup, or in the project area, this is a record of what has been happening and what you were doing in terms of your monitoring. So it can also be used in a court of law. You know, that's why we need to protect ourselves as monitoring officers, plus the organization, plus PNGFA. So you are doing PNGFA a favor by trying to record every activity that happens on the ground. Right? And if you do not fill it up properly, then in the future, if something happens, then that's where we will be in trouble. The organization plus USM. So, as the heading says, set up monitoring and control log. This is used for both permanent road lines and setups. It's really straightforward. So we'll just go through it. If there is anything that you're confused about, and if you need further clarification, please say so. But as we go through, we will try to evaluate this plan. You tick the boxes as we go through. Huh? Okay, so project name would be what? What's this one? Check the letter, covering letter. Is the covering letter there? Yeah. Okay, so what you would write is Anya Kapura. So you write Anya Kapura. Timber permit number? Who's the PS for Anya Kapura? 1452, okay. Setup number, it should indicate on the letter. G, yeah? G61. Okay. G61 22. Alright? Applicant contact, we'll leave that one. Key departures. There is none. Usually you would refer this to the previous setup there. So every setup you continues from the previous. Next. Now, key dates, application first received today, okay, today's date. Date setup plan approved and granted. You leave that one. Date, usually when you are evaluated, some of this information you leave it out until after you finish it, and then you come back again and fill that. Okay, once it's up. Okay, keep going. Just okay, let me just go a little bit more on this one. This is waste assessment. This is where the information from the waste assessment comes in. So this would have been for the previous setup, not this setup. So if there was any waste assessment for the previous setup, it would have to be this one. That information would also help you to determine whether you should or you should not approve this setup. Okay? Okay, so part one, data review. You as the PS will have received this. You write your name and the date you received it. Don't forget, dates are also very important. Okay? Then it goes down. You check the completeness of the application. So that's the first thing. Application checked. Check number one. Checked by you. Today's date. Is it complete? If not completed, you go back this way again to request for further information. Okay? And then you fill in the information. I mean, this is saying that suppose we need further information. Otherwise, we just keep going. Data review, again, reviewed by yourself and they. If there is no further information required, you keep going. Go to the preview. Okay. All right. Is the application complete? Covering letter? Okay. I see a covering letter there. You just tick for selection log. This is for the selection login, so we tick selection log. Then on a consent, then on a document. Is it a text? There is a then on a consent form. Whilst on this document, I want to further elaborate about this one. I see in many projects they call this letter on a consent form. But in fact, if you check the PMC procedures, it is called letter on a cultural site identification form. The use of terminology is also very important. Once you say letter on a consent form, it gives the authority to the landowners to dictate whether he should approve that setup or not. It's not his responsibility to approve the setup. It's your responsibility. As part of your responsibility, as part of the process, you require this document from the landowner to be signed. And it's to identify which areas within the setup that has some cultural significance. If there is nothing, he just signs it to say that there is nothing. If there is, they need to indicate in this form, let on a cultural site identification form, where is it and what it is for. All right? So try your best not to allow your landowners to have that authority, because they can hold the company and the operation to ransom. They will hold it until they are satisfied. Then they sign it. So we need to educate our landowners that this form is not for you to say, yes, you come to my setup. No, you don't. It's just another of the procedure that is required. So it shouldn't be used as landowner consent form. It should be landowner cultural site identification form. Right? It's attached there. Topographic map. Does it have? Okay, everything there in terms of what is required. I can't see my map. Setup number, total area, volume, rivers, creeks, crossings. This should be in the setup plan. All there, ticket. Done. water course crossings, all this you're very familiar, so let's just keep going. Oh. If you're satisfied in the office review that everything is okay, and you don't have to send it back to the company for changes, then you now go to the field to do your field inspection, all right? Which we will do tomorrow. But supposing we are in the field, your name, the number, that's what director was saying. Number of field inspection, number 1. You check all this done. Check for any non-compliance issues for the previous setup. Come. No, up. Is there any questions on this one? All clear? We just can continue. Huh? Is it okay? Well, it's okay, come. Stop. Go. This one we will do tomorrow. But we'll just go through it in here so that if there's any questions we discuss about it. When we get out into the field, we will need this map. Well, this map is already an approved setup, but supposing it's not approved yet. We would need this map, and then we would ask, does the map accurately reflect topography and water courses in the field? You would have to check the map and then see on the ground whether it's consistent. We'll check the boundaries. Usually driving along the logging roads, we check where the boundaries are supposed to be. These days, companies use GPS, so as part of skilling us, I think our people from JICA will be helping us with this one. So hopefully tomorrow they will help us in terms of as he's saying yes. Okay. These are just information you already know, so we will check that in the field. Any questions about this? On the side where the boxes are, you just tick or X. Tick or X. Keep going. Tree selection. Usually one of the important things that the activities we do in pre-logging inspection is to check the setup for tree marking, for instance, or location of skid tracks. Right. So in terms of tree selection, or you would have to also check on the location of landings. Right. For tree selection, are all commercial trees clearly tagged and numbered? Are all vines cut from all marked trees, fairly direction marked? Special trees retained? Special trees are what the biodiversity trees, those and also reserve trees, fruit trees or cultural significance, those are the trees. Okay. Monitoring checklist. We have used this. Any
Any questions on this one? I'm just going through because I believe that you have been doing this. So if you have not and you want further information, please say so we can spend a bit more time on it. That's all.
Thank you, Simon. All right. Here we have this. What's this? Inventory. Inventory here. They're marking inventory here. One important thing in there, it talks about trees to be retained, like special trees or seed trees. These are very important, and that is why I want somewhere in our code or in the application, when they're doing the application, at least they indicate to us how many in that particular setup they have marked, so that we can go straight to those and check. Because these are very important. Thank you.
In any setup, when the surveyors go in, they do the tree marking, and also as part of the new revised login code of practice, they need to also identify biodiversity areas or trees. If during the process of doing their surveying, they come across certain trees that have significant value in terms of biodiversity, say for instance, they see a hole or something where they can see birds or nests or this kind of thing. Those are biodiversity. I get that time with this. Those are trees that are important for birds and mammals or whatever. So these need to be identified, and I agree with you, John. They need to be marked. Now it can be one tree, or it could be a cluster of trees. Right? So if there's only one big tree that has that, then mark a buffer around it, or even mark a ring around it. They have to identify that. But if there are a couple of trees or 3 trees, maybe one here, another one there, another one there, then like I said yesterday, this whole area needs to be marked out as a special management area. It's a biodiversity area. Okay? So this area must be marked. A buffer zone must indicate that there is this special management area. So that's one area that is an example of a special management area. Every special management area should have a buffer.
Thank you, Simon. John, I agree with you. In the past, in the first login code, tree marking was done, but not including the trees that we're talking about for wildlife. In the revised one, that's been included. So I totally agree with John that in the inventory record, that should be taken account as well. They indicate how many trees that they marked for biodiversity, or cultural trees, those special areas that they indicated. I think that should also help us in our monitoring. So I agree with John that surveyors during the tree marking, they should also indicate how many trees they have marked for biodiversity, or even the cultural values, cultural trees that are used by the people. And so we can justify during our monitoring, say that these the trees that have been marked for that purpose, they're still there. And if accidentally they've been felled, and they will be responsible, we can take action against their doings. So that's my comment to John's, and listen to John's comment. Thank you.
That's the important part, so we discussed on Friday, so those on the other side record that we discuss further on this topic on Friday.
Yeah, let's
And
start.
there's other things I want to say, but because of the time, we move on, but we discuss further on the
Okay, and just to add on to John, it should also reflect in this list, which is a good point.
And also if, like you said, number of them, and we need to
Yeah.
demarcate the area, then we also mark that on the map, on the map.
Exactly right. Okay, thank you, John. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
What was special retreat?
I had that. So I said we'll discuss further on Friday. So, because
Sorry, where would you go?
yes, okay.
Steven, please, you can shout from the back.
What was special trees? They should be buffered. We should have a distance like 10 meters or something, because this road, we don't know the long operation is. There will be damages. So, some of those trees, they will be together in a group or something. We should at least give a 10-meter buffer. For trees or like this.
Sure.
We also slow in that. Revised.
Yep, okay. We just very fast. Let's complete this one. I think it's straightforward. Like I said, if you are not clear, you just say so. Otherwise, we just keep going down. Keep going, keep going. Okay, so this is the checklist, the master checklist. Remember, there's two checklists. One for monitoring checklist during your monitoring operation. It depends on how many times you go to the same setup. There's two checklists on monitoring. This is the master summary. You fill this one up after you have completed your 1, 2, or 3 monitoring. You summarize all that and then you fill this. This is the master one. This one should be filled before you actually close the setup. Okay, so setup clearance procedure. This is the last part. This is actually done before you close the setup. So in here, after login is completed, they submit an application attaching. They are applying to close, for you to close the setup. So you need to fill this one out. And the information there is actually very straightforward. But one thing that I need to emphasize here is the requirement on waste. Waste is one of the key things that you look for in terms of deciding whether or not you should close the setup. So during the course of your normal operations, and it is also indicated or clearly indicated in the waste assessment procedures. You can read that through yourself. But Geno will present the waste assessment after this. But as a requirement of closing the setup, you need to conduct a waste assessment. You do not have to conduct waste assessment if you are satisfied that under the requirement of the waste assessment procedures, if you think that during the course of your monitoring, the waste in the setup is not more than 3.5%, right? Waste chip scale. It's not more than 3.5. You can actually visually estimate the waste. How do you get that percentage? You remember when they submit the volume, setup volume? 3.5% of that setup volume. If it's more than 3.5, then definitely there's a lot of waste. So that makes you to go in and do 100% waste assessment. If from your own judgment you feel that it's less than 3.5%, then you don't need to do a waste assessment. So waste assessment is not necessarily carried out in every setup closure. You don't have to. It's based on your decision, your assessment during your normal monitoring activity. Okay? All right, so I'll leave it here for this. We will get into the waste assessment procedure very briefly so that you have a clear idea of how to calculate waste and how you can identify what is waste. All right. So thank you, John. I'll leave it here for.
Thank you.